Morning, beautiful. Great to see you. Lovely to be out here on this perfect summer morning. Need I say more? I don't think so. More! There you go. I said more. Here, let's do a little 360 of the world. The world with the sun and the blue sky and the trees and the sunshine. It's going to hit you in the eye in a minute. It's sure hitting me. There it is. There's the sun. And, oh, God, it's bright. There's nothing but blue sky. Hi, Farah. Hi, Robin. Good morning, Amy. And there's our roof that's going to get some more work done on it, which is exciting. So that's the 360 of the world as we know it. Oh, look, there's a moon up there. And flowers. Well, I've got to show you some flowers. And actually, I've been neglecting to show you red clover. This is what red clover looks like when it gets long and leggy and makes lots of flowers. And clearly, you know, it's quite a big herb. And of course, the bees love it, which is a great thing. And I use it in places in this garden, first to improve the soil because it makes nitrogen available. And also it holds the ground together. So let me just, oh, you can see, right? Oh yeah, a bit of a contrast, Farah. Yes, seeing my sunshine would be nice. Beautiful in Kansas. We're all in such different places and we're all together. So there's the geranium, that's Johnson's blue. Good morning, Julian. And we've got a few, just walking in here, a few larkspur flowers. It's a bit hard because the contrast is so bright, but there you go. Oh, there you are. Now it's sharp. And look, there are my hidden hydrangeas. Well, you can't really see them. There underneath the golden elderberries are the hydrangeas. And I've had to water them. You can actually see there's another one there, and right in the centre of the screen there's a bottle which I put water in so it can soak down into the soil because it gets pretty dry, right? So it's cold in New Jersey and warm in the Kansas, and in Wellington it is how you see it. So here's the garden, the last of the flowers on these bushes. More wild and wonderful things that are growing in the crib wall. So the flowers are more sparse this time of the year, but we appreciate them because, you know, the plants kind of shut up shop in summer because there isn't much to grow with. And you can see I threw some more water on this earlier today because I want the campanula in the crib wall to keep growing, and it gets very dry here. So here we go. That's a little tour of the garden. So today, one of you asked a question or made a statement, had a thoughtful thought about wants and needs. And I can't remember, it was last week. Can't remember how we got to it. But I thought this is a really good topic. Oh, thank you, Yeshua. I like saying it that way. Joshua, it's lovely to have you on with us. It's a blessing to have you here. Because, of course, it's you people that one way or another ask the questions and inspire me to share. I wouldn't stand up here and talk like this every day to nobody. Although I started off like that, but that was a different story. So the question today is really this question of wants and needs. Because we were talking about priorities, right? And what you really care about and what you choose. And I remember now. See, the way the brain works by association, it brings things back. I remember I was talking and passing about I was answering the question about not having clients and there's all these people that you can help, but they don't want to pay you. And the whole thing is if they don't want to pay you, they don't really want it. So, you know, save it, let it go, stop trying to fix everybody, just work on yourself and decide who your real clients that you want to work with are, and realise that they will prioritise their funds if they want to work with you. We do what we really truly want to do, bottom line. So out of that came the question of, well, you know, needs and wants and what I'm choosing. You know, I'm cancelling my television subscription because now I want the money for something that's more useful to me and all that kind of thing. Because, you know, my priorities have changed. That's the first thing. When you start changing how you spend your money, you know that your priorities have changed. But there is a big thing that many of us are programmed with, me too, oh my goodness, this was big when I was small, and it wasn't perhaps in the way that many of you have experienced it. The conflict that we experience, that we feel between what we want, as in that would be fun, I'd really enjoy that, that would make me happy, and what we need, as in clothes, food, a house, somewhere to live, to do your homework, all of those things. What you want versus what you need. Eating your dessert versus eating your vegetables. Although, by the way, dessert was a big thing when I was small. Now I'm much more interested in vegetables. And it's just changed. I'm much more interested in real food, and dessert is like, well, that's nice, but only a couple of mouthfuls and then I've had enough. Go figure. So we all change in what we are accustomed to, and there's a clue about that there, and what we're conditioned to believe makes us feel good. Linda, it's lovely to have you on the bridge with the captain. Yay! So this is a conversation I had with myself a while ago, because when I grew up, both of my parents were small, young, little, during the Second World War, and of course they grew up through the Depression in the 40s that followed. And in addition to that, I think they'd both experienced literally the hardships of not having enough to eat. And my father and his family were refugees. My mother, they came from England after the war, but during the war there were shortages, so it was kind of hardwired that we need to survive and there isn't enough. And you had to eke things out to the absolute end of what they could do in that situation. The thing was that somehow that was what I picked up. And I used to think it was all my father's fault, because he would keep using something, a tap or a door handle or whatever it was, until it was absolutely, utterly unusable, and you absolutely had to replace it. Which was like, for however long that took to get to that stage, it could be really irritating and really difficult, but it still worked, so it wasn't going to get replaced. And this is in the context of my parents actually by then being quite comfortable. My father was talented, intelligent. He was a scientist. He had a good income. There wasn't actually poverty, but there was a great deal of poverty thinking and feeling. Still very much thinking, hardwired thinking. Mike, it's lovely to see you. So that was what I grew up with, and it took me a very long time to recognise that as actually, no, this is not normal, because it was normal to me. And then to start realising how much poverty I was still thinking and how much I was scrimping and saving and basically if I can make it go, if it's still working, that's fine. If I'm not starving, it's okay. If I'm not dying, it's all right. And I had to realise eventually that just wasn't abundant thinking, and it wasn't going to be helpful to me. And more than that, and I got this from someone else, and I don't remember, it was a long time ago now, I finally realised that the things that I really want are things that I really need. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? What is it? Shelter, food and water, community. I think I've missed one. Shelter, safety from predators, food, water, then food, then community, and then self-actualization. They are all important aspects of survival. But we tend to think that it kind of stops after the first three: shelter, water, and food. And we think that if we are socially deprived, which many people have faced that and still are facing that around the planet, or we are deprived in terms of our self-expression, that somehow that's okay and that's not necessary. And it took me a long time to realise that those things are just as important for us as the other things. Just as important. It's in my heart to create myself freedom. And by the way, that's happening in the most unexpected way. and money, which is still coming because I'm still creating it inside myself, and a huge impact on the planet. It's in my heart to do that. It's never been in my heart to ever do anything else. Now, I had so many unconscious choices and more recently conscious choices to make about, do I settle for a corporate career that just doesn't satisfy any of that, which I didn't even know that it didn't satisfy any of that. Gives me safety and security, roof over my head, water, food, community, yeah, but doesn't really inspire me. Carmelina, lovely to see you. Do I settle for that? Do I say, well, 3 out of 5, that's not bad? Or do I actually dare to prioritise myself? And then, when you start to think, well, maybe what I've learned about what's necessary in life, because it was always, in my family, it was always about what was necessary. And to give you an example, it was necessary, because I was in music, that, I had an expensive violin and an equally expensive bow. That was necessary. There was money for that. But, there was no carpet in our house. We just had lino floors. Goodness me, the house wasn't falling down. My father built an extension. There was money for that. But there was no carpet. We didn't do comfort. We just put on jerseys. There was a mentality about what was necessary and what wasn't. And nothing wrong with it. But I realised eventually that it didn't serve me. And this was where the thinking and the feeling and the deciding really began, because then I had to decide what does. And part of the challenge of that, and this comes back to the question of, should I buy this? Should I not buy this? Is this what I need? Is this what I want? And the two are actually the same in the context of what really serves me, right? What really serves me? And then you really have to dive deep sometimes to know. Because your own internal compass has been so warped by what you learn from your family and your parents and growing up in schools and societal attitudes, and what you now get dosed with every day, depending upon your exposure to social media and television and movies and other people in your life and everything else. There's a ton of programming every day for most of us. Not for me, because I just don't. I'm tuned out. Really, I don't watch it. I'm not interested. But for many people, for many reasons, not saying it's good or bad, it's just what serves me, you see. There's a ton of programming about what you need, what will make you happy, what makes you beautiful, what makes you ugly, what makes you sick, what makes you well, what you should do, what's good for you, what latest, what not you need to do or to have or to be X, Y, Z. And when you really start to think, hang on a moment, what do I actually, truly, deeply in my soul want for myself? Well, then you really have to dig sometimes, because it's not obvious. Because there's so much expectation about, oh, well, if I don't like that, if I decide not to do and be that the way that I've been for the last 12 years, a bunch of people are going to look at me like I'm weird. Oh, do I want who I want to be and what's important to me enough to, brave that experience? Because we don't find it easy. Because community, right? Fitting in, tribe, that's about survival. And you realise, oh my God, my tribe's probably going to have to change if I start being true to myself. So it's a really deep dive, and often the process of going from who you've been to who you want to be, it's incremental. I'm going to say this, I don't really encourage people to jump off cliffs without parachutes on. And in fact, rather than using a parachute, unless you're comfortable with that, it's better to find a rope assisted steps that you can walk down, and things to keep you safe on the journey down and to help you make the transition gently. Most of us, the incremental change is the most sustainable, and it's the least shock for the people around us who are still going to notice, oh, you're showing up differently today. Hang on, that's not how I expect you to be. Oh, what? It's enough of a challenge for them just to adapt when we change gently. But when we change overnight, it's like, who the hell are you? Did you come in from Mars? What have you done with my spouse? So the process of becoming and making different choices is fine to do it gently, for crying out loud. If you want to get into a nice thermal hot pool and soak, but you don't know how hot it is, well, you don't dive in, do you? You put your toe in first, try it out, see if you like it. It's a little bit like trying out a new version of yourself. If you've never done it before, well, you're in the costume shop. You might not pick the right one the first time. So you try things, explore things, see if you like it. Don't commit yourself full in, before you actually know if it's right for you. So it's this whole process of exploring, actually, what do I want here? I'm choosing between this thing that's supposed to be good for my self-development and this other thing that could be really enjoyable and this other thing that could educate me. What do I really want? And there isn't a stock standard answer when you really start asking yourself. So what do I do? What do I do when I have a decision to make? I will sit with it, and sometimes I'll wrestle with it for days, weeks, however long it takes until I really know, until I've really thought through and worked through and questioned and decided for myself what my own answers to those difficult questions are. And sometimes they're really difficult questions. When you think, oh, well, I should, because this is what happens. The answer is so obvious. Of course, I should do this. Or I should want that. Or this is the path I should take. And something in me is saying, for whatever reason, right? Something in me doesn't resonate with the thing which is so obvious to my intellectual, analytical mind, which is just running on what it knows. Nothing wrong with that. But something in me doesn't agree. Now, I don't know if it disagrees for a good reason or a bad reason, but it's so easy to say, well, this is the obvious thing and this is what everybody does, and so I'll just do that. But I haven't really listened to myself. I haven't really paid attention. I haven't been willing to make the inquiry to find out what that is about. And until I am, I'll never really get an answer that satisfies me, that I feel into that answer. And even if my mind is still arguing, in my soul, I know it's true. I know that the path that I've chosen is right for me. I'm still getting used to the path that I've chosen. I'm still checking it out and saying, really? You chose to do that? Yeah, I chose to do that. And I know why. And you're not comfortable with it because it goes against everything you used to believe. This is the dialogue. I do this. But this is how you figure out, for me, this is how I figure out what I really want. And sometimes I know instantly. Often I know instantly because I'm really well connected inside myself now. I know my truth. But when a question comes up where it's just, no, I don't know. I really don't know. I have learned that I am willing to stay with it, to sit with my discomfort and my not knowing and my, could I do that? Could it be like that? Could it be, really? Are you mad? And work through it until something in me goes, this. And then I know. And nobody can tell me. I have to work it out for myself. And I guess the key thing, well, how do you do that? Because I have a good amount of coherence in my mind and in my body and my heart these days, and that makes it easier. So, yesterday we did a simple breathing technique which helps you to calm your body. If you do it a little while, it's going to help you calm your mind as well. You've got to get calm enough to really start listening to yourself. One way or another. We're not talking techniques today. But while you are turning around in 50 directions trying to make a decision under pressure when the pressure doesn't actually exist, it's just inside you, I got to know now. Do you? What's so urgent that you have to work it out right now or else something awful's going to happen? Huh? Most of the time, we're not under that much pressure. most of the time we're just running on automatic in a hurry, because it's normal for us to be in a hurry, because everybody's in a hurry and we're all stressed and we've got to carry on doing what we're doing because it's what we've been doing for the last however long. We just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And I make decisions quickly because I always know, but hang on a minute, I don't know, but I got to make a decision, but I don't know, but and you got to slow down. You just got to slow down until the chatter in your head calms down enough. And you get slow enough, you slow your brain waves down, there's ways to do that you can start to connect to the wisdom in your heart, and it starts to speak to you. And then you know. And that really is absolutely what I do. And I know how to do that. I've got a skill. I've got that fired and wired. I have tools. There's a neurological superhighway in my head that knows how to do that now. And my body's much better at doing it too. It still kicks and bucks and fights and energy moves and, I get, I'm doing it today, right? I'm not talking about yesterday or last week. Today. This is what happens for me. My body fights. It doesn't want to get really quiet. There's energy runs through it and stuff gets kicked up and that's fine. I'm used to that. I know more or less most of the time how to keep my attention on what I'm paying attention to, even though my body is shaking like a crazy thing. It's just normal for me now. It always stops sooner or later. I've just learned to not let it distract me. I've trained myself. I've got the skills now. I know how to get quiet so that I can ask the questions I need to ask and get the answers that I need, and it's not from this yattering, chattering, yelling, screaming, automatic programs that have been programmed into me by life and me and my reactions to things. That's all gone. And the only thing that comes to me when I get into that space is the truth. The truth according to me, and I know that it's real and I know that it's true. And I can argue with it when I'm back standing, up here with my eyes open and going through my life and thinking, really? But I know that it's true. So for me, that's how I decide. I don't have to choose between wants and needs. They are the same thing. Because something that I truly want is going to bring me joy. It's going to give me more energy to put into what I want to create in my life. And what I want to create in my life is for everybody, and it's for me, and it's for me because it's for everybody. And so, it's all aligned. For me, there's very little distinction between work and play. In fact, at the moment, it's like, well, what the hell else do I want to do? There's nothing, your whole experience of what pleasure is entirely changes. I don't need much pleasure now. Because I'm so aligned with what I'm doing and the way I'm living that there's joy, even in challenge, because it's what I'm choosing. So what I want and what I need have become absolutely the same thing, which is, completely not what you experience when you're deep in survival. But I've made that transition and I know what it's like. So I hope that was helpful. It's a kind of a nebulous thing, and it's a thing that it's a fingers in many pies situation as well. I look forward to seeing your comments. Facebook has stopped showing me as it often does. Big love. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, which means I'll be talking about something from my life that I hope will be useful to you. Until then, mwah, bye-bye.